She was humiliated by right in the middle of the nation's top military training field. No insignia, no uniform, must be a cleaning lady who wandered in, someone scoffed. Ava Collins, low ponytail, canvas shoes, wrinkled white shirt, stood alone under a storm of sneers. 30 minutes later, her husband's helicopter, the most powerful general in the military, touched down. St. Hawthorne Strategic Camp was a fortress of discipline, its barbed wire fences framing a sprawling complex of muddy training grounds, high-tech simulators, and steel barracks polished to a gleam. This elite 4-week program, reserved for the offspring of generals, senators, and chiefs of staff, was a crucible of battlefield survival, crisis management, and psychological steel. Cadets in $2,000 tactical gear drilled under drones buzzing with live feeds, their custom rifles engraved with family crests. The command center, a glass and concrete monolith, loomed over the camp, its screens tracking every move. Ava Collins stepped onto the grounds, her faded canvas sneakers sinking into the dirt, her white button-up shirt slightly creased, her low ponytail swaying. At 28, raised in a quiet Virginia town, she'd arrived with her boyfriend, a young strategic advisor, her worn backpack holding a notebook and a water bottle. No badge, no insignia, no hint of her past. The cadets' stares sliced through her, their whispers a gathering storm. Ava's presence was a crack in the camp's ironclad hierarchy, her backpack an affront to the elite's curated world. A cadet, Ethan Holt, leaned against a Humvee, his $3,000 Oakley sunglasses glinting. "Look at that backpack, probably bought during some post-COVID clearance sale," he muttered, loud enough to turn heads. A senator's daughter in a $1,500 Under Armour kit chuckled, nudging her squad. "She doesn't even know the difference between a training ground and a gun barrel." The mess hall's laughter rippled, cadets covering smirks with gloved hands. Ava stood still, her gray eyes steady, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She'd come to observe, invited by her boyfriend, but the camp's disdain was a blade against her silence. The audience's anger stirred, their hearts tensing at the casual cruelty of these gatekeepers, their scorn a lash against Ava's quiet grace. The mockery escalated, a venomous chorus orchestrated by the camp's elite. Vanessa Pierce, the daughter of a chief of staff, strutted forward, her tactical vest pristine, her brunette braids sharp as her sneer. At 24, raised in D.C.'s power corridors, she'd built a reputation for crushing outsiders. She eyed Ava's sneakers and scoffed. "She looks like someone who's never had a fighting instinct in her life," she said, her voice a sharpened blade. The cadets roared, their laughter echoing off the barracks. Vanessa tossed her braid, her cedar-scented lotion wafting, a scent Ava found cloying. Ava's fingers tightened on her backpack, her face calm, but the audience's fury surged, their hearts pounding at this personal attack, Vanessa's arrogance a spark in the frost. The scorn grew vicious, a coordinated assault on Ava's presence. A drill instructor, Margaret Klein, approached, her uniform crisp, her face etched with decades of enforcing protocol. At 48, raised in Texas, she prided herself on maintaining order. "Miss, this camp is for authorized personnel only," she said, pointing toward the gate, her voice firm but not cruel. The cadets cheered, their tactical boots glinting as they waved her off the grounds. A general's son in a $2,000 Arc'teryx kit shouted, "She's probably someone's temporary girlfriend, tagging along for the food." Laughter roared, cadets nudging each other. A squad leader hissed, "That shirt's a disgrace and she dares stand here?" Another added, "She's got no place in a war zone." The insults were a guillotine, each word a lash against Ava's silence. The audience's rage boiled, their hearts breaking for Ava, furious at this mob's relentless cruelty. The cadets' scorn turned vicious as Ava stood on the training grounds, their mockery a choreographed assault meant to crush her spirit. A group of elite trainees in $5,000 custom tactical kits gathered near the armory, their voices a venomous chorus. "She's a blight on this camp's prestige," one sneered, tossing a training grenade toward Ava's faded sneakers. "Back to the civilian sidelines, sweetheart," another waved a custom rifle, shouting, "Her backpack's a joke. Did she find it in a surplus store?" The mess hall's laughter roared, staff nudging each other, their silver pins glinting. A naval officer's son bellowed, "She's an insult to every drill run here." The taunts were a guillotine, each word a blade against Ava's poised silence. Nathaniel's helicopter was miles away, but the camp's disdain was a crushing weight. The audience's rage surged, their hearts pounding, furious at this orchestrated cruelty, their anger a fire ready to consume the elite's arrogance. Vanessa Pierce struck again, her cruelty a calculated strike to wound Ava before the elite. During a break near the mess hall, she grabbed a water bottle, sauntered over, and poured it into Ava's sneakers, her grin vicious. "Oh? I thought I was watering the plants," she sneered, her squad erupting in laughter. The cadets cheered, their scorn a suffocating tide, their murmurs buzzing. "She's nothing." Ava's gray eyes turned colder than steel, but her face held, a shield against the betrayal. The training ground stretched beyond the barracks, but the camp's disdain was a crushing weight. The audience's fury roared, their hearts breaking for Ava, enraged at this physical humiliation unveiled before the ranks. The cadets' disdain turned personal, their voices a venomous symphony. A tech scion in a $4,000 Patagonia kit leaned against a supply crate, his voice loud and cutting. "She's a nobody, probably here to flirt her way into a medal," he sneered, gesturing at Ava's wrinkled shirt. "Look at those sneakers, did she dig them out of a thrift bin?" His squad laughed, their custom knives flashing. A colonel's daughter shouted, "She's an embarrassment to whoever brought her!" The laughter was a suffocating tide, their arrogance a public execution. Ava adjusted her ponytail, her gray eyes unwavering, but the camp's scorn was a crushing weight. The audience's anger flared, their hearts pounding at this relentless betrayal, their fury a fire ready to consume the camp's sanctity. Vanessa Pierce's disdain sharpened, her words a calculated strike to wound Ava before the camp's elite. "She's not just out of place, she's a mockery," she declared, her tactical vest gleaming as she gestured at Ava's wrinkled shirt. Nathaniel Cross would be ashamed to see this civilian on his grounds. Her squad erupted in laughter, their custom knives clinking, eyes darting to Ava's backpack. "She's a tourist, not a tactician," Vanessa sneered, her voice loud enough to silence nearby whispers. The cadets cheered, their scorn a suffocating tide, their murmurs buzzing. "She's a fraud!" Ava's gray eyes burned with quiet fire, but her smile held, a shield against the betrayal. The command center loomed beyond the barracks, but the camp's disdain was a crushing weight. The audience's fury roared, their hearts breaking for Ava, enraged at this heiress's treachery unveiled before the ranks. The staff's complicity deepened the wound, their actions a fresh betrayal. A logistics officer, Clara Voss, in a tailored uniform, stepped forward, her voice dripping with condescension. "Miss, the civilian viewing area is that way," she said, pointing toward a distant bench, her smirk mirrored by nearby cadets. "We don't allow such guests on the training field," she added, sparking chuckles from the crowd. At 32, raised in Maryland, Clara prided herself on her gatekeeping role. The crowd's approval was a crushing tide, their arrogance a public crucifixion. Ava gripped her backpack, her gray eyes steady, but the camp's disdain was a suffocating weight. The audience's rage flared, their hearts pounding at this institutional scorn, their fury ablaze against St. Hawthorne's sanctity. The camp staff's disdain turned overt, their actions a public shaming orchestrated for the cadets' amusement. A senior coordinator, Richard Hayes, approached Ava near the training simulator, his uniform pristine, his voice dripping with condescension. "Miss, this field is for credentialed trainees only," he said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Your attire suggests you're in the wrong program." He gestured at her sneakers, his smirk mirrored by nearby staff. "We don't typically allow such simplicity at St. Hawthorne," he added, sparking laughter from the cadets and instructors. The crowd's approval was a crushing tide, their arrogance a public execution. Ava gripped her backpack, her gray eyes unwavering, but the camp's scorn was a suffocating weight. The audience's rage flared, their hearts pounding at this institutional betrayal, their fury ablaze against St. Hawthorne's sanctity. The cadets' cruelty peaked, their voices a venomous storm. A diplomat's son in a $3,000 North Face kit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. "She's a fraud! Probably snuck in to play war tourist," he hissed, his squad nodding, their tactical watches flashing. "Her commands are a joke, just a stunt to blend in." Another added, shouting, "She's a con artist. The camp's been duped." The laughter roared, each rumor a dagger aimed at Ava's heart. Staff whispered lies, their accusations spreading like wildfire. "She's after a free ride." Ava's fingers brushed her backpack, her gaze steady, but the crowd's slander was a crushing weight. The audience's anger erupted, their hearts with Ava, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The cadets' cruelty peaked as they spun vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the barracks. A Pentagon intern in a $6,000 tactical kit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. "She's a fraud. Probably bribed her way into this camp," he hissed, his squad nodding, their cufflinks flashing. "Her presence is a sham, just a ploy to crash the trials." Another added, shouting, "She's a con artist. Nathaniel's been fooled." The laughter roared, each rumor a dagger aimed at Ava's heart. Instructors whispered lies, their accusations spreading like wildfire. "She's after the prestige." Ava's fingers brushed her backpack, her gaze steady. But the crowd's slander was a crushing weight. The audience's anger erupted, their hearts with Ava, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The final assessment loomed. A jungle warfare simulation designed to break even the strongest. Each team of 10 had to navigate a dense forest, build a camp, protect their squad, and execute a counterattack strategy. The cadets scrambled, their radios crackling, their maps misread, their egos clashing. Chaos erupted. Arguments, lost signals, a team stranded on high ground. Vanessa Pierce barked orders, her braid swinging, but her squad faltered, their perimeter exposed. Ava stepped forward, her sneakers silent on the mud, her wrinkled shirt a stark contrast to the camp's tactical sheen. She grabbed the radio, scanned the map, and took command. "Team 2, flank right at 15 degrees, establish a perimeter," she said, her voice calm but ironclad. "Team 4, fall back from high ground, switch to staggered retreat." She turned to Vanessa. "Interim leader, step down. I'll take full responsibility for the mission." The cadets froze but obeyed, their movements sharp under her orders. The simulation ended in record time, fastest operation in St. Hawthorne's history. No simulated injuries. Every squad rescued. The forest fell silent, the audience's hearts stirring, their anger shifting to anticipation. Ava's quiet strength a spark in the frost. The training field was a sea of stunned faces, the cadets' tactical gear dim against Ava's plain shirt. A senior instructor, Colonel Raymond Holt, stepped forward, his beret low, his eyes wide. At 55, a veteran of 3 wars, he pointed to the command center's screens. "That was the cleanest operation I've seen in decades," he said, his voice trembling. "Who is she?" The cadets crowded the debriefing tent, their custom knives glinting. Where'd she learn to command like that? Why's she dressed like that? Vanessa's braid seemed to wilt, her confidence a fading echo. The committee chair, General Laura Tate, leaned forward. "Where did you learn all this?" Ava paused, her gray eyes steady. "I was a Special Forces major," she said. "I resigned after a failed mission led to the loss of someone close to me." The camp went dead quiet, whispers of her name rippling. Ava Collins, the youngest female officer to command a tactical battalion, vanished from records after a mysterious resignation. The audience's pride swelled, their hearts thundering as Ava's truth reshaped the camp's power dynamic. The air shifted as a low rumble broke the silence, a black UH-60 Black Hawk descending onto the landing zone. No VIP visit was scheduled, and the cadets' faces paled. The door slid open, and General Nathaniel Cross stepped out, his 4-star uniform gleaming, flanked by 2 aides. At 42, raised in Colorado, he was the Supreme Commander of Strategic Operations, his name a legend in military circles. He walked straight to Ava, saluted her with precision. "Major Collins, you haven't lost your edge," he said, his voice steady. Then he took her hand, kissed her forehead, and turned to the camp. "I'm her husband," he declared, "and I've received reports that she was mocked, belittled, even physically humiliated at what is supposedly an elite training facility." The barracks froze, camera drones hovering, instructors' faces ashen. The audience's hearts soared, their anger transformed into awe as Nathaniel's truth unraveled the lies that had bound Ava. The camp stood paralyzed, Vanessa Pierce's tactical vest slipping from her shoulder, her braid no shield. Nathaniel faced the camp director, his gray eyes unyielding. "I demand an immediate investigation," he said. "Everyone involved in degrading her, including your daughter, will be suspended, stripped of student status, and flagged for breach of military ethics. No one deserves to rise by stomping on others." The cadets' boots seemed to dim, their faces taut with shock. Clara Voss stood motionless, her gatekeeping role a confession of failure. Nathaniel gestured to Ava, his hand steady. She commanded battalions in war zones. Your camp failed her, not the other way around. The audience cheered, their fury transformed into pride, as Ava's truth began to reshape St. Hawthorne's legacy. Colonel Holt nodded, his beret low with respect, the field holding its breath for her response. Ava stepped forward, her wrinkled shirt a quiet crown, and took Nathaniel's hand. I didn't come to lead, she said, her voice soft but clear. I came to watch. She paused, her gray eyes sweeping the cadets. But when you needed direction, I gave it. The camp erupted, instructors standing, their applause a symphony of awe. Vanessa Pierce bowed her head, her vest no shield, and muttered, I'm sorry, Major Collins. Representatives from the Pentagon approached, their offers of reinstatement extended with trembling hands. Ava smiled, squeezed Nathaniel's hand, and said, I'm done with wars. I just came to see the camp. The audience roared, their hearts pounding as her grace crushed the elite's arrogance. The fallout was immediate, a reckoning delivered in silence. Vanessa Pierce was suspended indefinitely, her chief of staff father's influence null, her escorts marching her to the gate. Clara Voss was reassigned to desk duty, her gatekeeping career dust. Ethan Holt, the cadet who'd mocked Ava's backpack, was barred from final trials, his aspirations erased. The tech scion who'd sneered at her sneakers was expelled, his family's connections useless. The staff who'd laughed were disciplined, their roles diminished. The cadets who'd spread rumors hid their watches, their authority null. Ava stood beside Nathaniel, her canvas sneakers steady, her backpack a testament to her truth. The audience's hearts thundered, their anger transformed into triumph, Ava's victory a blaze that humbled the camp's elite in St. Hawthorne's hallowed grounds. Nathaniel Cross's presence commanded the training grounds, his voice a gavel strike that silenced the drone-filled air. You dared to mock Ava Collins, the heart of this camp's legacy, he said, his gray eyes a storm of controlled fury. Your gear, your titles, mean nothing against her truth. He raised a tablet, revealing a cascade of severed ties. Vanessa Pierce's training privileges, Clara Voss's event access, the cadets' trial eligibility, all terminated by St. Hawthorne's board. Your names are erased from military futures, he declared, his gaze locking on Vanessa. You've lost more than drills. You've lost your honor. The crowd's gasps were a symphony of shock, their empires crumbling under his command. Ava stood beside him, her wrinkled shirt glowing, her triumph sealed by Nathaniel's unrelenting power. The audience roared, their hearts soaring as his global retribution crushed the elite's arrogance. The elite's downfall was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Nathaniel's command. Vanessa Pierce stumbled off the training field, her tactical vest a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the cadets. Clara Voss's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her escorts pushing her toward the supply exit. Ethan Holt's aspirations collapsed, his mockery exposed as lies. The Pentagon intern who'd spread rumors hid his cufflinks, his eligibility void. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers ended. The diplomat's son who'd laughed was shunned, his prestige dust. Ava stood tall, her sneakers a quiet crown, her gray eyes unyielding. The camp's drones flashed, capturing the elite's disgrace, their empires crumbling under Ava's command. The audience's hearts thundered, their anger transformed into pride. Ava's victory and Nathaniel's wrath a blaze that humbled the military's richest in St. Hawthorne's hallowed grounds. The camp's hierarchy crumbled under Nathaniel's command, a systemic reckoning that exposed its rotten core. He turned to the camp director, his voice a blade cutting through the field's intensity. Your training protocols are a farce, he said, his gray eyes unyielding. Every rule that humiliated my wife is void, effective now. He tapped his phone, and a cascade of notifications hit the staff's devices. Contracts canceled, access revoked, entire squads disqualified. The tech scion's connections were null, his influence a relic of a fallen empire. The colonel's daughter's team was expelled, her career grounded. The instructor who'd laughed was escorted out, her uniform dark. Ava stood beside Nathaniel, her backpack a quiet testament to her truth, her triumph a beacon in the camp's dimming light. The audience's hearts soared, their anger transformed into triumph, Nathaniel's wrath a tidal wave that swept away St. Hawthorne's arrogance. The cadets' disgrace was cemented as they faced the drones, their arrogance undone by Nathaniel's command. One by one they stepped to the field's edge, their tactical kits dull, their voices trembling. Ethan Holt faced the barracks, his Oakley sunglasses a mockery. "I was wrong to mock Major Collins," he said, his apology a public wound, his trials null. The diplomat's son followed, his North Face kit faded, his prestige erased. "I shouldn't have spread lies," he muttered, his influence dust. The colonel's daughter choked out her regret, her eligibility void. The staff who'd sneered stood last, their uniforms stripped, their careers ended. Ava stood beside Nathaniel, her shirt a quiet crown, her backpack a symbol of her truth. The audience roared, their hearts soaring as the elite's apologies echoed, their empires crumbling under Ava's command and Nathaniel's unrelenting power. No one knew Ava's past, not the cadets, not Vanessa, not the staff. At 20, she'd trained in muddy fields while studying tactics at night, her grit earning her a commission. At 24, she commanded a battalion in a classified operation, her courage unmatched until a mission's failure cost a friend's life, leading to her resignation. At 26, she met Nathaniel at a veterans event, her quiet resolve drawing him in a sea of flash. Their marriage, a private vow in a Virginia forest, was built on love and shared scars. Vanessa's lotion, the staff's uniforms, the cadets' gear, none matched the weight of the backpack Ava carried. Now she stood on the field, her ponytail a testament to her truth, her silence a furnace that burned through their lies. The camp paused, but the cadets' eyes remained on Ava. A junior instructor approached, his voice low with respect. "Major Collins, your commands. They're legendary," he said, his earlier scorn a regret. The cadets retreated, their influence null, their families scrambling to salvage ties with St. Hawthorne. The Pentagon hovered, their empires trembling in Ava's shadow. She walked toward the command center, her gray eyes tracing Nathaniel's proud smile. The drones dimmed, the spring light fading, leaving a trail of the military's richest pleading for her favor, their bows a silent surrender to the woman they'd mocked. Ava declined reinstatement, but accepted a guest instructor role, teaching one exclusive class, winning in silence. Her sneakers were soft on the lecture hall floor, her backpack slung over her shoulder, where she trained a new generation to lead without ego. The camp enacted a new policy: respect all candidates, regardless of background. The field fell silent, the drones still, the elite's empires dust. Nathaniel leaned toward her, his gray eyes warm. "Ready to go home?" She nodded, her gray eyes tracing his smile. They walked off the grounds, the spring light fading, leaving St. Hawthorne forever changed by a single command. She didn't need a uniform to make people stand at attention, because someone who once led entire war zones never has to raise her voice to be obeyed. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this, and tell us in the comments, what would you do if you were Ava?